Hey, I'm Harry,
Hey, and I'm Jay
and this is Connection Corner.
here at Unity Baptist Church, and we're here to talk about a new sermon series our pastor started called You Asked For It.
All about questions that people have submitted.
Yeah. And people have lots of questions.
They do.
Lots of questions about life, love, money, kids,
Kids cause a lot of questions.
I know, COVID.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all kinds of crazy questions.
Nothing's happening the way we expected at the beginning of this year.
No, 2020 has been one crazy ride, that's for sure. But when we talk about questions, normally we're asking questions because we want answers.
Right.
Yeah. So, Pastor mentioned that when we have questions, we need to go to like an authoritative source.
And there's a lot of them. He mentioned Children's Manual, and I know I've used that before, a long time ago when we had an old Ford truck that just didn't want to do anything right.
Yeah. I'm a gamer though, Harry, and I love
right?
the video game. And so when I get stuck, on a quest or I can't beat this boss or whatever, I go to a website called IGN, and they give you all the little helps and the little tricks of the game to kind of get past those places when I get stuck.
They've cheated the game.
Well, it's not cheating when you ask for help. I mean, come on. Now, if you use cheat codes, that's a little different.
That's a little different.
That's a little different.
True.
Yeah, for real.
True.
What's another authoritative source that people use when they are
People.
People, yeah. But you got to be careful, though, right?
You do, because
gotta-
there's some people who are not as authoritative as they pretend to be.
I have received bad advice, and I have given bad advice in my past, so I know that.
Guilty.
What about YouTube? YouTube's a good source.
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
It might be a good source on how to fix that refrigerator. Well, sometimes. But
So as a disciple of Christ, right, when Pastor Lewis was talking about seeking the authoritative source as we navigate this crazy world looking for answers to various questions
Everything.
we may have, we're supposed to go to the Bible.
of course, it's inspired Word of God.
And what's so unique about the Bible is that it's 66 books authored by 40 different people who lived over hundreds of years apart, but there's a consistent message through it.
And I tell you, that's amazing. Can we get 40 people to agree today, right now, much less over many thousands of years?
Yeah, that's true. And I was thinking about what Pastor said about the themes, right?
Right.
Or the
Right.
central story, so to speak, of the Bible, which is all about God's creation,
The fall.
the fall, after we screw things up, but then God didn't leave us, right?
No, He came and redeemed us.
He did.
Wow.
He did. And that story of redemption is just awesome. But then that's not the rest of the story. There's something else after redemption that I thought was very interesting.
In the end, we're going to be glorified. We're going to be with Him. It says that He has gone to prepare a place for us. Wow.
Yeah, and He wants to know us and for us to know Him. So, over this week I was thinking about, that story, and I'm thinking, well, why not after redemption? Why couldn't we be on a fast track to glory? Why do we still face all the trials and tribulations here on earth?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
But I think Pastor made this quote. I thought it was interesting.
From Joseph Hall from long ago, and it said, "You shall find one touch of Christ more worth to your soul than all your deep and laborious disquisitions." And I had to look up disquisitions.
Okay, what is that?
It means discussions, kind of like what we're doing here.
Okay.
So, we're not on that fast track, but the touch of God can through all our questions and our thoughts and all that touch is so powerful. That intimacy is just so amazing.
So it's not about the fact that we have questions. I mean, we're human, right? We are
Right.
going to question why things happen or why things didn't happen.
Because we don't know everything.
Right, we don't. Pastor made a comment. He challenged us to be thinking that not every question is equal,
True.
and that there are some questions that really, in the grand scheme of things, are just really irrelevant. And the reason why some questions are more important than others is because it's all about our relationship with God,
Right.
our relationship with Christ.
We have a purpose.
We do.
We're not just here. We have a purpose to fulfill, and it's glorious.
So while we may not understand all of the stuff that happens in our lives, or we have questions about, why does God allow sin, or why is there hunger, or maybe why didn't I get laid off during COVID? And
Maybe why I did,
I think it comes down to what he said, and that is our lives as disciples of Christ are about taking the circumstances that we find ourselves in, right, and growing closer to him. And so the questions that we need to be asking ourselves are more, or should be more in line with the idea of how is this person, or how is this circumstance that I'm going through being used by God to make me more like Christ? Because ultimately, the whole idea of glorification is
to be with Christ
and be conformed in the image of Christ.
Conformed in His image, yes.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the key sermon, the key verse, 2 Timothy 3:16, talking about that He wants to equip us for every good work.
Yeah.
And all these things we do and say and think, the Bible can equip us to make them into good works.
The hardest part, though, with anyone, including myself, when it comes to asking questions, right, is to admit that you don't have the answer.
I always want to have the answer, but I have to admit I don't.
And not only that, but you've got to trust the authoritative source that you're going to, And I think one thing that I've thought about this past week is, do you really trust what God has said in His Word? Do you really trust God? Because in the end,
that's all that matters.
It's all that matters. If you trust God and you believe that His Word is true and that He is working out things for your good, you can rest. And like what we're working through Proverbs in our small group. And one of the things that we just kept circling back to is the fact that having godly wisdom and having godly understanding, receiving it from His Word, allows us to sleep well at night.
Amen.
We can rest in knowing that God is God. He is sovereign, meaning He's in control. And even though things may look like the wheels are falling off the bus, or, we're about to head over the cliff, He isn't in control. And He's got it.
And I was just reading James chapter 4, teaching it actually, and it talks about, it said, people say, I'm going to go to this city and do this and this and this, but they don't control their lives. Yeah. They don't control it.
That's right.
They can't, but because God has control, they can be okay with that. Yeah. They can be okay with not having control.
So in the end, what I think we're going to find out as Pastor walks us through these questions in this new sermon series called You Asked For It, is he's going to take some questions that we have asked him about life, maybe about things in the Bible that seem kind of hard to swallow or something. Who knows?
I'm kind of curious what they are, because I haven't heard any of them.
Oh, me either. I think the biggest thing for me is going to be, what am I going to do with that authoritative source? Am I going to take it for truth, or am I going to go and see if there's a YouTube or Google or my friends or someone else has a better answer than what the Bible says?
Or just forget it and just move on.
Yeah, be ignorant, right?
Yeah.
Put my head in the sand.
Sometimes ignorance seems like a good choice, but never works out too well.
Yeah. So anyway, that's about it for us for now.
Yeah.
We like for if anything that we said sparks your interest, if you want to check out our website at Unity at discoverunity.com or the Facebook page, feel free to do so as we, as a group of regular people, start walking through some of these tough questions.